This is your host, Fred, here at the Gear Obsession channel. In this episode, I want to talk to you about computer viruses and what your first response should be in the event that you get one. Now, for this demonstration, I'm going to be using a piece of software called VirtualBox. It's where you can run a virtual computer inside your current operating system and computer. I use a free product called VirtualBox, now made by Oracle. It used to be owned by Sun, and Sun purchased it from some other company. So it's made its way to Oracle. And I went ahead and started it up here. I'm going to zoom in. What you're looking at is the first screen. Now I have a Windows XP machine here that I'm going to start up. Before I start, I'm going to go ahead and back up that whole virtual machine. I'm just going to do a quick snapshot, because I might do something to mess up this computer or this virtual machine. And now I'm going to start it up. So what you're seeing is a virtual Windows XP machine booting up on my Windows Server 2008 machine. Actually, this computer actually has Windows Server, that little box that I had built a couple of episodes ago, and then I installed Oracle Virtual Machine that I can run whatever operating system I want, such as Linux or any kind of Unix or Windows, any sort of Windows, BSD. If you're really savvy, you know how to hack a little bit, you could even get, yes, Mac OS to run in a virtual machine. Even Google Chrome. Those of you who have Windows XP should recognize that startup sound. And of course, Adobe Flash does updates every month because it's probably one of the most vulnerable products out there. Anyway, this particular virtual machine, I have running an antivirus called Avast. I feel that Avast is the best free antivirus out there. I used to think the Microsoft Essentials was, until I've seen it fail 3 times this past year, so I don't trust it anymore. So anyway, I have Avast, and you're probably going to see it do an update here. As soon as you boot up, it'll usually do an update. And that's not the update, that's me getting email. I'm going to go ahead and knock this up to full screen.
Virus database has been updated.
Okay, so it updated to the latest definitions, as you can see. Now, the first thing you should do, even prior to using your machine, as soon as you put your antivirus software onto your computer, you should get familiar with how it responds to a virus. So you will know the difference between a prank or some other antivirus trying to imitate an antivirus software, and the way that your antivirus will respond to a piece of malware or something trying to infect your machine. So the way to do that is to go download something called a virus test string. And I'm going to open up a web browser. We'll utilize Internet Explorer. You might know it as Internet Explorer. And I'm going to do a quick search for EICAR. For those of you in military law enforcement, that's spelled Echo India Charlie Alpha Romeo. Okay, and I'm going to go to this link that says EICAR, the Antivirus and Anti-Malware Test File. Now what this is every antivirus program out there will respond to this file as if it were a virus. Trust me, it's not a virus, but it's going to set your antivirus off, and it's a way of testing your antivirus to make sure it's working. That's why it's called a test string. So I'm going to open up, and I'm going to go ahead and provide a link to this below in the comments. Now I'm going to go ahead and zoom in just a little bit more, and what I'm going to do is scroll down a little bit, and you're going to see some links. And those links are different variants of the test string to test out your antivirus. Most antiviruses will not respond to every one of these from the first click. Sometimes you have to, like there's certain versions that are zipped up, so you would have to unzip it and then it would go off. Now I'm going to just go ahead and click on the ecar.com file, and it should set off the antivirus software.
Threat has been detected.
Okay, so as you can see, sorry that was off screen, but you could see how Avast responded. It blocked it and kept the machine from getting infected if it were an actual virus. I'm going to go ahead and do that one more time so you can see. I'm going to make sure I have this completely in frame. I'm going to go ahead and go to this ecar test string right here and click it.
Threat has been detected.
So I recommend that you do this. Find out how your particular antivirus responds so you could differentiate between the real thing and a fake virus. So what I'm going to do is show you some of the windows that some of these fake malware things that will try to trick you into clicking them will look like. So I'm going to again search for antivirus, or I'm going to search for fake and I just okay, fake antivirus and pop-ups, or just pop up. I'll go ahead and hit enter, and I'm going to ask for images so we can see different pictures. Okay, here's an interesting one. Fake antivirus threatening Windows. Let's go full size. So the reason why I'm telling you that you should get familiar with the way that your antivirus will go off is because one of the tricks that these virus writers like to use to try to get your machine infected is to have a pop-up window show up, and it'll say your computer has been infected, click OK to clean. And you'll think, and if you don't know what your antivirus looks like, you're going to think it's your antivirus going off, and you'll click OK, and it will start infecting your machine instead of actually cleaning it. So what you want to do is, if a window pops up, let's say a window that says you got a virus and it doesn't look like your antivirus pops up, this should be your only response. I'm going to show you what to do. Let's simulate a window. And that window, even though this, just make believe this says you have a virus and you have your normal window. I'm sorry. So you have your normal window, and it's going to have, an X, and it'll have the big warning in there. It's going to say click OK, yes, and it might even say no, and it might even have a close. Well, I'm here to tell you, whether you hit yes, no, close, even if you hit the red X, if you do anything on this window, it's going to infect your machine because everything in there is fake. The whole thing is a hyperlink, essentially, that will execute and install the virus on your machine. So what should you do? Well, you could just yank the plug out of your computer, but you don't really have to do that. What you want to do is you want to go down to your taskbar down here and right click. Right click is where you hit the right button right there. You just want to right click and a window's going to pop up. And let me show you what that window says. You see this where it says Task Manager? Task Manager right there. That's what you want to click. You want to click Task Manager. Let's bring the Task Manager into view. My camera work doing computer stuff's terrible. Now your task manager has several tabs. You have applications, processes, performance, networking, and users. So on the applications, you'll see different things listed. I can open up a couple more windows. You might see, just so I can show you different things show up in the task manager. I just opened up the control panel. You'll see it there. I'll open up, what else? I'll open up Notepad. Okay, so you see different things loaded in there. What you should do is, after opening the task manager, anything that's listed in this application, you know, any running applications you need to close, and you need to do it on this window, your task manager window. That's it. So you hit here and hit end task. That's this button right here, end task. Hit this, end task. Hit this, end task. This way you don't have to touch that pop-up window that you're not sure about. That should be your very, very first response to that pop-up if it doesn't look like your normal antivirus. Okay, then go ahead and close it. I would probably recommend rebooting your machine at this point, because just in case it stopped anything or did whatever. But you know, you don't have to. It depends on what virus might be hitting you, what the best course of action is at this point, whether to reboot or not. But the next thing you want to do is go ahead and start up your real antivirus. Make sure it's up to date with the latest signatures, and do a full computer scan. Do a full computer scan. So I'm going to go ahead and go to Scan Computer and do a full scan. This could take hours, depending on how much data you have on your machine and the type of antivirus software you have. Some are faster, some are slower, but let it do an absolute full scan. I'm going to go ahead and stop this because I don't want another lengthy video. I know they're getting kind of long. Now the next thing you want to do is you want to use a program that some of you might have already heard. I'd like to give a shout out to Looking For Me Marbles. He did a video on some malware, and he did recommend a very good product that was called Malwarebytes. And I use Malwarebytes too. So you can get, let me see, I don't think I have Malwarebytes installed on this virtual machine. So we'll go ahead and go to that page, and I'll provide the link below. But it's Malwarebytes. I don't know if I spelled it right. I probably didn't, but these search engines have a way of correcting some of my worst spelling. So here's Malwarebytes. It's a free, you could use the free version, is fine, because all you're doing is scanning. If you want the memory resident one that you can use alongside your antivirus, go right ahead. But I don't like running too many things, you know, too many different programs in the background, because they'll slow down your machine. So we'll go ahead and download the software and install it, and I will be right back. Tell you what, I'm going to go ahead and continue recording, because this could get confusing. When I hit the free download link, it brings you to Major Geeks, which is a legitimate site. They give you several locations you can download it from, so I'm going to go ahead and just pick one. And we'll go ahead and save it to the desktop, and then we will run it. Not a very large download, about 7.5 meg file. I have Comcast, so it does a pretty fast job of downloading that. I speak English, at least I think so. So it shows English. I'm going to accept the agreement, hit next, 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 next. I'll put a desktop icon, next, install. What I want to do is I'm going to go ahead and leave update malware or Malwarebytes Anti-Malware and then launch it. The reason why is I want it to go out, get the latest signatures from, you know, their website, so I have the most updated signature. A signature basically is a file or a fingerprint to a known virus. So they say this is what it looks like, and it tells the program to look for something that looks like this because that's a bad file, or that's a virus, or that's spyware, or whatever. And that's the common way that most antivirus and anti-malware products work. Another thing is through heuristics, where it looks for virus-like activity. It doesn't necessarily have a signature. It just says, you know, it's doing something kind of weird, and that's not a normal behavior for an application. So you're a virus. You're trying to do things without the user clicking on stuff. So that's bad. So what you want to do is, here is the product, Malwarebytes Anti-Malware. This does a very good job at finding anti-spyware or spyware and adware and things like that that your antivirus might miss. So after doing a full scan with antivirus, you want to do a full scan with this free product and do a full scan. Select your hard drives that you have. This one did say see the C drive. My D drive is just a CD-ROM, so I skipped that, and it's doing a full scan. Now sometimes these programs find cookies and things like that. Cookies could be bad. You know, they got cookies that sort of track you from site to site. Google's cookies. Let me tell you something about Google and their cookies. Since all the different websites have ad-click cookies, which now Google owns, they could actually see you go from site to site to site to site, because most websites pull in ads all from ad-click, which is Google ads. So Google could actually see, you know, your IP and each website you go to at one after the other after the other. They know a lot about what you're doing, which is really scary. So a lot of people block third-party cookies. A third-party cookie is basically, you know, when you go to a website, it downloads these cookies, and that cookie did not come from the actual website you're at. The cookie got pulled off a different site. The link was in the page that you went to on website A, but it pulled the cookie off of site B, which was from Google, let's say. So, and that's why they can track you going from site to site to site if many sites all pull that same or different cookies from that other site, which Google owns the most popular cookie and ads out there on the internet. So anyway, I'm sort of straying a little bit as this thing's doing this scan, but it's good information to know. You have the capability of going into Internet Explorer, whatever you want to call it, or if you Google Chrome or Firefox, and block third-party cookies. However, sometimes when you do that, the web page will not come up entirely right. So, you know, you're going to get a little inconvenience with a web page that might not load completely, or you might get some weird anomalies. But if you can live with it, it's definitely a safer way to surf the interweb. So, fully scan your machine, and you should be good to go. And I'm going to go ahead and abort the scan. And nothing was found on my virtual machine. Now, another thing you should be doing is making sure that you patch your machine entirely. Make sure that you download all the latest updates. If you haven't, you should. You should set it up where at least it notifies you, if not totally automatically. This way, a lot of these threats come out, and if it's a 0-day threat, Microsoft should come out with a patch, an unscheduled patch to fix it before it's exploited. For your normal patches, they usually come out the first Tuesday of every month. It's called Patch Tuesday. So if you're coming around to the first Tuesday of the month, expect Microsoft to come out with a lot of patches. So expect to have to patch your machine if you're using Windows. Now, the other thing you should be doing, some preventative stuff here, besides patching your machine, besides antivirus and making sure your antivirus signatures are up to date, besides doing all that, and besides being aware of how your machine will alert you that you had a virus. You should do a backup of your home machine. I showed you how to do an image of your machine a couple of episodes ago. Check out that video and see how easy it is to back up your machine. You have no excuses. There are free products out there you could do to image it, and I mentioned some of them in that video. You really need to back it up. If you do get infected, where all of a sudden you see all these windows popping up across the bottom of your bar, like you go ahead and click on that close on that window thinking that you're closing the window, but it's really infecting more. And usually when you click on this and it installs that one piece of malware, it usually creates a chain reaction and starts downloading all the other different malware and everything. And each of these products will try to siphon ads your way, and you'll get weird pop-ups showing up on your machine. And it'll also try to send data back to the malicious coder's website so they can get information on you. And it's going to bring all their friends and all these other Windows or programs and everything, and you'll see them start cascading across your taskbar on the bottom, and it's a downhill battle there. And to get rid of them all, if you let it go for a couple of minutes to try to clean out all those different malware and antivirus, it will be a nightmare. Usually the only way to do it is start up Windows in safe mode and run antivirus and try to clean it. Then you still might have some that are so new that your antivirus did not have the signature to detect it, so there still might be some unknowns on there, and you might have to go online, do some research, and find out how to manually remove some of them, which means going into the registry, which is sort of a configuration file for Windows, just to give you an idea of how complicated a registry looks in Windows. Here's your registry and all these different keys. And you can see there's a lot of complicated stuff in there, and you really, if you're not familiar with the registry, you don't want to be monkeying around in here, because you could do more damage than the virus can do messing with your registry files, unless you know what you're doing. So you need to have a backup, because it's very hard to recover from some of this malware out there. The most common, and the reason why I use the example of these fake antivirus pop-ups is because that is the most common lately. This last year, I know of 3 people who got infected with these fake virus pop-ups, and I believe that Look At For Me Marbles did a video on it where he, got the same thing. So I sort of want to do this as a service announcement to everybody to try to educate everyone on what's going on out there as a potential threat to your computer. And I don't want you to miss any of my videos, so I want to make sure your computer is good to go, so you get to see my ugly mug at least twice a week. Some of you might want to just get the virus. It's funny because I had a person come by and did a hit and run comment on my video, and he said boner kill. So I'm like, well, what does boner kill mean? So let's have some fun here. I'm getting kind of dry lately. We need to lighten things up a little bit. Let's look up what boner kill means, because someone was nice enough to leave me that comment. The Urban Dictionary says boner kill means it's a verb, the act of losing one's erection due to any of the 5 senses being negatively influenced by an unattractive life form. You gotta be kidding me. I know I'm not good looking, but wow. So I went back, I'll tell you my first impression to that comment after I read this description was just, I wanted to blast back, but you get into the wars with folks on the internet and YouTube, and they're never going to end, and it's going to end up with a lot of drama. So I'm not going to respond at all, or at least I'm going to cool down a couple of days before I respond to that comment. I basically finally went back and said, I recommend that you do not come to my channel if you plan on having sex soon. because you know, I don't want to ruin his erection. So I hope you got a good laugh out of that. Anyway, again, this is a service announcement to you folks. To hopefully if I can help one person from getting infected with a virus, that I feel like I've done a good deed for today. So with that said, I appreciate friends, viewers, subscribers coming back here, the Gear Obsession channel. I really do appreciate, and I mean it when I say this, I really do appreciate you all, and thanks for coming back. Have a great evening.